Hello, welcome back to ProQuest Grand J Games, number 1 for 2022, that is.
It's the last weekend.
Jesse Newman Marshall. Yes, it is the last weekend of ProQuest Season 1. And we have a quarterfinal coming up. How you feeling, Isaac?
I'm really excited to watch this quarterfinals, actually. Yeah. We got Prism versus Viserai. So, two of the top tier decks duking it out. And this is the kind of matchup where people have tested it, have got their specific plans, kind of know what they're doing, but are trying to kind of break this matchup. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, I'm looking at Toby's deck here and just having a look for Lead the Charges. So he's got 2 Lead the Charges, Toby and Ty. So 2 Lead the Charges at red. It looks like that's it. So Lead the Charge is the card that lets Toby attack 2 auras in one turn. And I think as we saw with our feature match in round 1 with Elizabeth on Prism, a lot of the Prism play in this metagame is about challenging the opponent to deal with 2 auras in one turn. So usually a 4-cost instant aura and then a 0-cost action aura. And if your deck is not equipped to do that, then the Prism player can run away with it because they can be presenting multiple auras and special shields as the game goes on as well.
So the double aura turns are certainly a way for Prism to get in front. Viserai can split the damage though, right? With Rune Chance going to the face and the weapon going to the aura that's in play. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's still challenging for Viserai to deal with multiple auras.
Yeah.
Because unless you've got ways to get action points, not just go again, then you can't deal with multiple auras in one turn.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at from Ty's deck list is very much an aura build, but with probably more heralds than others that I've seen, at least in the last couple of weeks. So we've got a blue Herald of Ravagers, for example. We've got quite a few heralds at blue. When we interviewed Elizabeth, I think we've got 10 heralds there at blue. So when we interviewed Elizabeth was saying that she has 12 blues being the auras, and then only 3 others being the 3 Wartune Heralds, whereas Ty's got effectively another 7 blues on top of that, which are other heralds. So we're seeing more of a herald-based build that is going to be able to present more damage, rather than something that's purely about auras. Although we do have 3 Otarath, 3 Parable of Humility, 3 Merciful, 3 Genesis, and the 12 blue auras.
Yeah, cool. So I know that Ty hasn't been playing Flesh and Blood for that long. I think less than 6 months. But Ty has played an incredibly large amount of other card games and was very successful at Magic the Gathering. So really an old hat when it comes to playing card games. Switching over to Flesh and Blood, I'm really excited to see that, right? Because I know Ty, and I know that he would have gone super deep into Flesh and Blood, but still, hasn't been playing for as long as Toby. Toby, a bit more of a veteran of the game, has been playing since Arc, is going to know this matchup quite well, and then, it's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at Heralds and Auras against the might of Viserai's split damage, big Sonata turns. Toby, in terms of, we really saw 2 different ways of playing Viserai from Toby and Joel in these Swiss rounds.
Yep.
We saw Toby taking the mid-range path, and we saw Joel taking the OTK path. I'm just having a look through Toby's deck list. So we have got the 3 red Runeblood incantations.
Yep.
No yellow Runeblood incantations. We have got the yellow Read the Runes. So there is the option for playing a sort of a more OTK build.
Yeah, building up the Rune Chance and then doing the big combo turn like Joel did in round 2. Yeah.
But I know that Toby really does like going fast. He's got played a lot of Lexi, played a lot of Katsu, got sort of that aggro player mindset, and I think he prefers attacking more. Yeah.
Okay, so let's check out the bracket for the top 8, and then we're going to jump into that match. So we've got Patrick White versus Vincent Lim. So Patrick is our Rhino player.
Who's been in a couple of rounds, and Vincent's playing Briar.
Yeah, Briar. Awesome. Then we've got David Spencer, versus Luke Fletcher. So David is on Ice Lexi, I believe.
Yep.
And then Luke, who we just saw, is on Chain. Then we've got Quan Lee. He's been on Starbo today. Versus Liam Hertzer, who is also on Starbo. So the Starbo mirror. And then we've got Ty Soens and Toby on Prism and Viserai. So a pretty good spread.
A great spread.
Yeah.
What's that? 6, 7 different heroes?
Yeah, 7 different heroes. Just the double up.
Just the double up on the Starbos.
On the 2 Starbos who were playing against each other in the quarters. So after this quarterfinals, there'll be 4 unique heroes going into
in the semis.
The semis.
That's pretty good.
Really excited to get down to the feature match now and start checking out what's happening. We've got shuffling up. We've got Ty Soens up the top there, playing Prism. And then we've got on the bottom, we've got Toby Firth playing Viserai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, I guess other things to mention for Viserai. So in terms of that choice between, so we've got a couple of comments, 7 different heroes, #balanced meta. Well, I agree. I think as this meta's evolved, we've seen in these matches today and in other pro quests that, as we discussed at the end of the Swiss rounds, you can challenge the top decks on anything, and that's what an open meta looks like. So Viserai and Prism, we thought we'd feature, we've had a lot of Reinhardt today, so we thought we'd feature 2 of the quote-unquote top decks here in the meta, just to see sort of how they perform against each other, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So Viserai, your game plan in terms of when you're choosing whether to be OTK or to lean on that mid-range game plan and be a bit more aggressive, if you're kind of wargaming your way through the game against Prism, if you're playing OTK, what do your turns look like? They look like hopefully make some rune chants and pop an aura with your weapon each turn, so that the rune chants don't pop. I think that's how that still works. I'm going to have to check with one of the judges actually. But I'm pretty sure you can pop a rune chant with your weapon without popping the rune chants. Anyway, assuming that that's the case, that's what your turns look like. If you're playing the more mid-range build, then you're kind of, I think, able to do pretty much what you want to be doing, which is presenting damage each turn and then just poking the auras if they have them with your weapon, which shouldn't be too much card disadvantage for you. So we're seeing an Ode to Wrath here on turn 1. Ty winning the die roll, really important. I mean, both Viserai and Prism.
No die roll.
Sorry, Ty being the higher seed.
Yep. Ty being the higher seed versus Tobin Firth. We're just got a typo up there on the top there, but we'll get that typo fixed up on Toby's name.
Old mate Tobin. So going first, super important because both Viserai and Prism can present a lot on turn 1. And a lot that is not blockable but advances their board state significantly. So Prism getting the Ode to Wrath out is important. We're seeing a Blind Sonata here for just 3 cards, hitting an Enlightened Strike, 1 Arcane damage, E-Strike into hand, and that's a great start for Toby because whilst E-Strike isn't a Rune Blade card, so it's not going to generate a Rune Chant when Toby plays it, it is a go-again attack that's going to let Toby smash face a bit and then still be able to come in at that Ode to Wrath.
Yeah. Good to hit off that Sonata Arcanix. So the Ode to Wrath, which one's the Ode to Wrath? Which one does that do?
So it's all your illusionist attacks have go again, which tends to be redundant with Luminaris, but when you have more blues in your deck, it does help because it means you're not relying on pitching that yellow every turn to activate the Luminaris. But it also says whenever an illusionist source you control would deal damage, your opponent loses a life. So when an illusionist source you control deals damage, your opponent loses a life. So basically adds an extra bite to every instance of damage that you present.
Which is a lot. When you come in with those Spectral Shield tokens, 1 becomes 2.
That's right.
And so 4 Spectral Shield tokens, which would normally do 4 damage, becomes 8 damage.
Yep.
So we've got an Enlightened Strike coming in, putting a card to the bottom.
Presumably with go again.
Yep, 2 cards in hand. That's what I would assume. So then we probably see like a weapon attack here on the Ode, and then an Arsenal the other card.
Absolutely. And interestingly, Toby's opted with the Vexing Quill hand again here. We noted Toby is an aggressive player and likes to have the option to have those big extra little propulsion on a big turn. But not having the grasp, say Toby's got a blue and a red in hand, not having the grasp on a turn like this is a bit annoying. Because he could, if he had a blue, pitch, make a rune chant, and come in at the Ode.
Yeah, true.
Which would be better.
One of the other things, though, is that it actually gives you a no rune barrier.
An arcane barrier,
An arcane barrier. So the Vexing Quill Hand does mean in those kind of tight situations where you would die to your opponent having that
Merciful Retribution.
Merciful Retribution, thank you. You can prevent that from happening. So some interesting kind of play there, although it's mainly about that. At some point I'm going to pop this off to get 2 extra rune chants and try to have a big turn, particularly with Skeleta and Arcanix.
So we're seeing the Footsteps getting chucked in front of the Enlightened Strike, and Footsteps are a really powerful card in this particular matchup because the Viserai player is presenting a lot of attacks that are smaller than 6 power. The Footsteps can safely be blocking. Obviously the downside is you have to pitch, but Ty's got 1 floating, then pitches another blue, and that's enough to play out another aura. Which is just huge. So Ty soaked up Toby's action points that turn. Like, one of the ways you can deal with that sort of play, if you're Toby, is by keeping your last action point free. But Toby not able to do that because he wanted to commit to killing that Ode to Wrath, and then once Toby's out of action points, the window's open there for Ty to get the Genesis down. Genesis is an incredibly powerful card early in the game. It gives you food for your soul, which then turns into Spectral Shields later, and it gives you that immediate Spectral Shield each turn as well, and lets you cycle.
So as soon as you pitch a yellow, all your stuff has go again. You can attack with that Spectral Shield, attack with the Genesis as well.
Yep, and this Miraging Metamorph that's coming in. So looks like it's a yellow into a Miraging Metamorph. I'm not sure why there's 2 resources still.
Probably a slight misrepresentation there. But I'm sure that they'll fix that up when Ty goes to use those resources.
Just Payload says, but what about second Genesis? Second Genesis is good, but it can get a little bit awkward for the Prism player because you've got to have 2 Light Illusionist cards to put in. I mean, you trigger them 1 at a time. But sometimes, probably less of an issue nowadays when you're less Herald reliant. But certainly in Herald decks, sometimes when you have 2 Genesis out, you're like, I don't want to put this second yellow into my soul in case I draw a blue or a red. You're kind of taking a punt on that, but looks like a blue card in pitch. So yeah, maybe it was just a blue. Our screen's probably a little bit smaller than what you guys are seeing, so it does look like it was a blue because the Spectral Shield on the Genesis didn't come in. Yeah.
All right. So we got the tank card. This is very
Become the Arknight. And I should say we mentioned in round 1 with the Miraging Metamorph, that is a card, particularly with the Genesis on the table, but really in any instance, your opponent's just going to take 7. It's really a 1 for 7 that's unblockable, or unpoppable, rather.
So we've got a Morven Skies. Is that what that card is?
Yep. So become the Arknight to get a Morven Skies. So Toby's down a card, like thrown away Amplify the Arknight and played to become the Arknight. But the Morven Skies really importantly lets Toby guarantee that he extends his turn here. It gives that guaranteed go again, so Toby can have an attack and then the weapon.
Yep. So that Morven Skies coming down, creating a Rune Chant
from Viserai.
And then...
Ooh, massive play from Toby. So Runic Reclamation from the Arsenal is threatening to destroy the Genesis if it hits and create a Rune Chant. The Rune Chant is going to threaten the Spectral Shield, meaning that Ty doesn't have that Spectral Shield's block there, which would crucially make the Runic Reclamation a threatening 6 damage rather than 7. But because Toby's got that Rune Chant popping, it's actually threatening. The Rune Chant will kill the Spectral Shield if it's not prevented.
So Runic Reclamation comes in for 7.
Yep.
And if it hits, then you get to destroy an aura of an opponent's that an opponent has.
Yep.
And you create a Rune Chant as well.
You create a Rune Chant. Yep.
So really powerful into Prism, because it also, as a 7-power attack, can pop off the opponent's Illusionist cards as well.
That's right. So if you just happen to come up against a more Herald-heavy Prism deck, you've got an out there. But against these more Aura-heavy Prism decks, you've got a really threatening on-hit effect. And sometimes the Prism player just won't have the cards in hand to be able to block that effectively. And Ty, if Ty's got like a couple of instances, whether it's Prismatic Shields or other yellow auras in hand, Ty may not actually even be able to cover this up here. And that Skull Cap is only on 1 block at the moment. Obviously, you wouldn't throw the Footsteps in front of this at this point and have them die. So it is quite quite a challenging threat here presented by Toby. Obviously, Ty could have just 2 and 3 blocks in hand, and maybe that's enough to cover this up, but perhaps not. So we're not seeing a pitch for the Arcane Barrier there, meaning that the Rune Chant does take out the Spectral Shield. And then, so we've got 7 coming in at Ty here. So a massive play from Toby.
So there is a defense reaction that costs 2 and
Soul
blocks
Shield.
for 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be a good one to have here, yeah?
Could chuck that and the Skull Cap in front. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you have to block the first time with your Skull Cap for 1, it does feel like your opponent's won just a minor victory in the game.
Oh, yeah.
The other option is to make a Spectral Shield with Prism's ability here and then block with 2 3s. So I am seeing a Prismatic Shield, I think. Or that could be... may not have been a Prismatic Shield. It's hard to tell whether that's a Miraging Metamorph or a Prismatic Shield. So taking the damage. Wow. Taking 7. Away goes Genesis. Upticks the Rune Chant. That's a big swing.
That is... plus the Morven Skies red.
3 more Rune Chants. So I'm seeing at least 1 Genesis in Ty's hand, which may be what's going on here.
Yeah, that was...
Genesis that doesn't block, but that is just an enormous swing.
An enormous swing. 7 damage, kill your Genesis, and get 4
Rune Chants.
4 Rune Chants.
Yep. And now Toby's got the option and is in the tank about whether to... Yeah, read the runes I think is absolutely the right option there. So had the option to come in with the sword for 4 damage plus 4 from the Rune Chants. But going up to 8 Rune Chants and passing the turn here I think is a lot more powerful.
Yeah. So, 8 Rune Chants, Ty's on 29, Toby is on 33, that's it appears that Toby's a decent chunk in front at this point in time. That's such a big swing that turn.
So, even though Toby had a great turn, and probably made up a little bit of ground that he was behind on, really just from going second, the Ty did get to keep 4 cards, and they are 4 good cards here.
Yeah,
so we've got a yellow into a Watching Herald. Yeah, so there's 1 floating, so even if Toby pops it, Footsteps can be online to get the action point back.
Now, if this Watching Herald hits, what happens?
Goes in the soul.
Okay, so, and...
That's a yellow by the looks, so it's coming in for 6.
Coming in for 6. If it hits, it goes to the soul. And what's the benefit for the Prism player for having more cards in the soul?
They can banish them later with Prism's hero ability to make more Spectral Shields.
Okay.
There used to be, there is still a card called Vestige of Soul, which is a chest piece that a lot of Prisms used to play, which gives you the additional benefit when a card goes into your soul, that if you pitch a light card for the remainder of that turn, you get an extra resource every time you pitch a light card. So it basically turns your blue light cards into pitching for 4.
Okay.
Which is a massive swing, particularly when you have a lot of 4-cost auras in your deck. But with that threat being gone, as well as Tome of Divinity, which reads, it's an instant, cost 4, draw 2 cards. If a card's been put in your soul this turn, draw 3 cards. Another threat that comes off the back of things like Watching Herald. Those things are less commonly played. We know that there's no Vestige of Soul because we can see the Tunic on the board. We know if we're sitting in Toby's seat that it's unlikely without Vestige of Soul that Tome of Divinity is going to be in the deck. So we're a little bit more comfortable taking Herald hits.
Okay. So what's the different potential things that that mean that having cards in your soul, sneaky little advantage here and there?
Yep. But at a minimum, you get a card in there that you can turn into a Spectral Shield later.
Yeah.
Which is what's happened now. Yep. And then we're seeing it followed up with a Miraging Metamorph. Now, I think Ty has 1 card left in hand. So the Miraging Metamorph is not threatening an instant speed aura if Toby pops it. What it is threatening, though, is that Ty can pitch that last card in hand to make a Spectral Shield if Toby pops the Metamorph and copy the Spectral Shield.
Okay, and then could come in with the
No, because won't have an action point left. Unless it's a blue that's pitched, in which case Ty could Footsteps and then attack with the 2 Spectral Shields. Okay. Footsteps, make a Spectral Shield, attack with 2. But we didn't see that at all. We didn't see a pop. We just saw a block
take
4, 6. Is that a
25.
Mordred Tide? So that's a big block from Toby, blocking with Mordred Tide and Oath of the Arknight. And then, Mordred Tide, obviously, a key
card. And then Metamorph number 2 in this turn?
No, so this is Shimmers of Silver.
Okay, that's the aura that Which one is that?
Gives +1 counters
Plus
to your
one counters.
first weapon attack each turn, and of course, with Luminaris out, all of Ty's auras are weapons. So we're just seeing an Enlightened Strike here for 7 + 8, so 15. So Toby making a decision there because Ty was coming in with so much damage back the other way that he would just pop off these rune chants now and try and get some life or cards out of Ty. Yeah, I'm not sure. That was a tough turn for Toby there. I would have been tempted. I'm not sure that losing the Mordred Tide is worth saving 3 life at this point for Toby. So I would have been tempted, particularly on that Miraging Metamorph there, just to say, I'll block with Oath of the Arknight, fine. But if this is my plan for the turn to just E-Strike, I want that Mordred Tide in Arsenal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so take 3 more damage in order to have Mordred Tide.
In order to have Mordred Tide in Arsenal. Yeah,
I think that's a pretty good analysis that you make post.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Toby could have another reason for wanting to block there, but I'm just that to me looks like a line that might have been open to him.
Yeah, Toby very helpfully indicating that it is an attack for 7 with the E-Strike.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Toby. So, attack for 7 with the E-Strike plus 8 rune chants popping off.
15's not insignificant. That's half of Ty's life at the moment.
Yeah. So, if Ty was to take that, it would put Ty down to 14.
And we've got no go again, and of course no further resources to attack with the sword, so no reason to give the E-Strike go again. And making the E-Strike 7 also means that the footsteps can't be safely placed in front of it.
Alright, so Ty
goes
electing
to 24.
to take
5 rune chants.
Take 5 rune chants, and is thinking about pitching a blue to save the other 3. That's the question in Ty's head at the moment. Ty's also just being like, I don't want to commit all of my resources because then I'm giving tempo away by saying, all right, I'm not going to have any aura, I'm not going to have any plays on my turn. Although, still gets to attack with that aura.
So Ty electing to prevent 2 and pitch the Genesis rather than play the Genesis. And this is what Toby's plan is all about here, of presenting damage. It's about saying, you can make a choice. Either you take a lot of damage to the face and get your aura for the turn if you've got a 4-cost instant aura, or you get rid of your aura and do some blocks and you don't get to do that at all. But you take less damage. And Ty's opting to take less damage just because of the pure amount of damage that Toby was presenting, which I think is the right choice.
I really like the play by Ty there to go down to a life total that is less than Toby in order to turn on the Arcanite Skullcap and block with that one. Really cool to see.
And so now Ty, I think, with 2 cards left, or is Ty just dealing the hand back up? No, 2 cards left. Okay, so we're seeing a Wartune Herald. That looks like a yellow again, although I know it's a red, I think. I'm just trying to see the pitch indicators rather than the colour strip, because the colour strip's too hard to see. Yeah, so if that's a red, it's 7. If it's a yellow, it's 6. I guess we'll find out. No resources floating, no capacity to get the action point back.
So that means...
So if Toby pops it, then the turn's over.
Yeah.
Unless Ty wants to pitch the last card in hand to Footsteps after that and get the action point back just to attack with the Shimmers, which Ty might want to do. Just to get a counter on the Shimmers, but we'll wait and see if there's pop. It's unlikely that there's a 6 power in Toby's hand, because we've already seen one of the Runic Reclamations come out, and I don't think Toby would play Command and Conquer in this matchup. In fact, a lot of Viserai decks don't even have it in the 80. Toby's got no Command and Conquers in the 80.
Okay. Wow. Okay, 9th blade. That's certainly got more.
So that pops it. Yep.
All right.
So electing to pop, and does Ty want to pitch? No. So we see the Arsenal. 9th blade covers it up nicely. All right. So yeah, option available to Ty there was to get the counter on the Shimmers by pitching, but opted for the Arsenal instead.
All right. So we got a Amplify the Arknight there.
Oath of the Arknight.
Oath of the Arknight.
Amplify was pitched though. So correct.
Yep.
And then we're seeing a swing, and I think that was just to cycle the hand.
Yeah.
Because that amplify, pitch of the amplify and the play of the oath did nothing.
Yeah. Okay. And then it was attack the aura, keep the rune chant, and I guess that's the.
Oh yeah, it made a rune chant. That's what it did.
Yeah.
The Oath of the Arknight. Yep. So it was pay 2 cards basically to get a rune chant, which is not a great return on investment, but
does get rid of that aura. Not the most impactful aura.
And also Toby's given up a lot of tempo there that turn. So Ty's now got a 5-card hand to come back with, and we're seeing an Arclight Sentinel, which is a little more challenging for Viserai to deal with. We know that Toby is playing the lead the charges. We mentioned that in the intro. But we're seeing Arclight into Haze Bending. So 2 auras, one of which Toby has to attack as his next attack. And the other one means that when he does do so, he's going to give Ty a free Spectral Shield.
Yeah.
So a pretty nice little combo there from Ty. So a Runeblood Incantation, that's a good start from Toby to get back to his next sort of power turn, which is what he wants to build towards. And then poke the Arclight is all he can do.
Okay, so and the Spectral Shield gets created for Ty. So pretty good turn for Ty.
Oh, that was an excellent turn cycle for Ty. Toby's last 2 turns have been significantly muted.
Yeah.
But Toby getting out the Runeblood Incantation, you could maybe see as an equivalent to Ty getting the Haze Bending. So maybe that particular turn cycle wasn't too bad for Toby.
Yeah, like you get a Haze Bending, I get
a Runeblood Incantation.
Yeah. And life totals being 21 for Ty, 24 for Toby. So a couple of points up for Toby, but 2 auras out for
one and a shield.
Ty. Yeah, one's a shield shot, but still they can ping away.
They can. And we know as well that once Prism gets multiple auras into play, the life can disappear pretty quickly. So whilst Toby's up by 3, that's really not that meaningful. Because much in the same way as rune chants in the bank present or represent life that you've probably lost later, auras also represent either life or action points that Toby's going to have to lose later.
Yeah.
So it's always a complex board to read between Viserai and Prism as to who's ahead. You know, life totals definitely don't tell the full story.
Yeah, because of these auras, both the rune chants and the plentiful amount of different auras that Prism has.
And if we're looking at equipment, Toby's still got the full block on the Skeletor, the Skull Cap. They've both got their feet, which are more about... Oh, so we're seeing an erudition, not something you see played all that often in these current Prism builds, but it's a powerful 5 dominate with a really good on-hit effect. As I was saying earlier, without Tome of Divinity in the deck, the threat of Herald of Erudition is a little bit less, because even if it goes into the soul, it's being popped here anyway, so probably don't need to go too deep on that one, but it's still a powerful threat.
So is that a Runic Reclamation or is that something else?
It is a Runic Reclamation.
Yeah.
And we're seeing get the action point back with Footsteps, create a Spectral Shield, and then come in with the 3 auras here, I think.
A little pew pew pew.
But it is costing Ty a whole nother card in the Pierce Reality that's been pitched in order to get in the 3 damage.
Yeah.
So the Runic Reclamation there was pretty clutch for Toby, because Erudition was a really nice on-hit. It meant that Toby, if it was just any other 3 block, Toby would have had to put the Skull Cap or the Skeletor in front. It actually would have had to have been the Skeletor because the Skull Cap wasn't turned on. But as it is, Toby just gets to dedicate 1 card and demands another card out of Ty's hand to get the action point back, which was pretty good. So we're seeing the Morve.
Morve and Sky to start off with to give the next attack go again.
And was that from Arsenal? Well, there's no Arsenal there now, so unless Toby's just picked up his Arsenal, he's looking at it. Then
yeah.
Probably was.
And in response, we've got Arclight, which is pretty
So does Toby have to lead the charge?
That's going to be the big question, because lead the charge is huge. Otherwise, this turn's going to be a bit awkward.
So yeah, it is awkward, but Toby gets to reset the Arsenal. So we're seeing Ty slowly building up those auras. The Arclights and the Haze Bending is a great combo for that reason, because they have to kill the Arclight.
Yep.
And then you're getting this little shield benefit along the way. But, you know, the Runeblood Incantation is ticking down, and those shields are going to die to these rune chants, you know, at some point in the future. So.
Yeah.
And Toby did get to, you know, select an Arsenal.
And then draw up to 4.
Yep.
Now, 2 of those Arclights have been used. Ty still has to have a yellow pitch in order to give all it is. Auras go again.
And Ty's pitched 2 blues and played the Arclight. So 1 card left in hand by the looks. And when you've got 1 card left in hand, at the moment Ty's okay because there's a card in Soul. So Ty can pitch, make a shield, pitch a yellow, make a shield, and then everything's got go again. But once you get down to 0 cards in Soul, if you've got a 1 card hand, you actually can't do anything, even if you have a yellow.
Yeah, because you need to actually have some kind of ability that you're using or a card that you're playing in order to pitch it. You can't just pitch for nothing.
That's right.
And the Prism deck really requires having a yellow in the pitch zone. And we notice here, there's no yellow.
No yellow, and a Haze Bending comes out from... So Haze Bending number 2, which does start to threaten some significant Spectral Shield boards, but Haze Bending on its own you can ignore. So as long as Toby can just get rid of these Spectral Shields and start stripping cards out of Ty's hand, and Ty doesn't play other auras, Toby's alright. But if Ty plays other auras now, Genesis, Merciful Retribution, Ode to Wrath, and Toby has to deal with those, he starts giving Ty 2 free Spectral Shields every time.
Yeah. So we played a non-attack action, and then the Spellblade Assault, which creates 2 rune chants plus the extra rune chant from Viserai's ability. So it's attacking for, looks like a red. I can't quite tell.
Hard to tell. Might be a blue.
Might be a blue, might be a red, but it's coming with 3 rune chants plus the attack from the Spellblade Assault, and then
Morven Skies on hit trigger as well.
Yeah.
Looks like a red Morven Skies.
Yeah. So some interesting kind of like maneuvers to work out like where you want to go from Ty's perspective.
And when we're talking about a mid-range build with Viserai, Toby's running 9 Morven Skies, and a lot of people are these days for that reason, that it makes these turns with Spellblade Assaults just that much more threatening, particularly into Prism, where you can clear an aura. So we're seeing a pitch on a Parable of Humility to block the rune chants. So blocking 2, losing 1 shield, I think. And then considering what to do with this Spellblade Assault. So whether the Spellblade Assault is a blue or a red, Phantasmal Footsteps is really good here, but Ty didn't have a blue to pitch there, which would have been better. So instead, we're seeing a block with a 3 defense card in Herald of Protection, and then 1 shield goes down. So it was a red Spellblade Assault.
Because using the Tunic resources to prevent 1 of the arcanes, plus the yellow pitch prevented 3 of the arcanes, and then we've got activation on the
Vexing Quill hand. Yeah,
to go to 5 rune chants,
and then Reveling Rune Blood. Wow,
going to 10 rune chants, no 11 rune chants.
Skeletor. And a Sonata. Oh, here we go. So from nowhere, effectively, Toby started the turn with 3 rune chants.
Now, will he remember to create the rune chant from this?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's no way that Toby remembers his Sonata Arcanics Viserai trigger.
It's his blind spot.
Yeah. He's done it.
He's done it, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no!
So 2 coming in for 2. Not the greatest.
No.
But still has 11 rune chants here.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 non-attacks. That is just not at all what Toby wanted to see. So, I mean, he's still got a good turn here. He gets to go Rune Flash now. Then attack with the sword into one of the Haze Bendings if he wants, or go face, depending on what Ty's got in hand. Ty's only got 2 cards left now, I think.
Yeah.
Because Toby's had that Spellblade Assault action before all this happened. But not ideal. I mean, if Toby had got 1 or 2 more attacks there, this turn would have pretty much ended the game.
Yeah, so revealed 8 cards there. Wanted to see a split of 4 and 4. Instead, saw a split of 6 and 2. And we've just got word from Grand J himself that Quan, Vincent, and Luke were the winners in the other quarterfinals. So we are looking at a Stavo, which was always going to happen because it was a mirror, a Briar, and a Chain. Okay, versus the winner of this match. We chose the right match to watch. so that we can jump straight into the semi-finals after this one's done with just a small break.
So Ali pointing out Ty blocked the Arcane with Tunic too. Yeah, Isaac picked that one up later. I missed that one. So
yeah, I was trying to work out where that was. It got there in the end.
all right,
So we're seeing a ping for 2 coming in with the Arcanics.
taking out the shields off the Arcanics,
Yep.
and then the Rune Flash. I mean, if you were going to hit any attack there, if you were Toby, if you were going to have only 2 attacks going to your hand, one of them being Rune Flash is good.
Now, 1 resource floating, can attack with the Rosetta Thorn, and then Arsenal, that Spellblade Assault was the other card that was
And the big question is, does the Rosetta go at the haze bendings or does it go at the face? Now, this is where I was saying you can get into these game situations where haze bending does absolutely nothing other than just attack for 1 sometimes. And this is one of those situations. Because Ty is going to have to put cards here in front of this, because this is coming in for 15.
Plus 4.
Plus 4 more. So Ty doesn't really want to go to 1. Like, 1 is the danger zone. But Ty is going to 10, and then I presume one of these cards has to go in front here. Yeah. And the Skull Cap. Okay, so we're covering up the 4, but yeah, so if I'm Toby now and I'm staring down the barrel of 1 card in Ty's hand, and these 2 haze bendings, I'm just going to the face.
Yeah, I'm just coming to the face. Coming for 5.
Ooh. He's thinking.
He's thinking.
He's done it. Okay.
So, Toby really valuing the game going longer here. So, wants to make sure that the game goes longer so that he can maybe have another big turn. Has that Arsenal Spellblade Assault, has the 1 Rune Chant there, maybe values having that Rune Chant.
So we've got a Herald of Judgment, which if it hits, your opponent can't play cards from the Banish Zone, which means it turns off Rattlebones. So that does something.
Okay.
Because we're getting to the point in the game where Rattlebones starts becoming a really big threat. Rattlebones is a way for Toby to... Toby's Rune Chant from the end of the turn dies.
Yeah. We'll have to,
I'll just have to go and update that. Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. So, coming in with this Illusionist card, we're just going to go and make sure that Rune Chant gets taken off because the Rebel to Runeblade has an extra bit of text which says, at end of turn, destroy all Rune Chants you control. So, another, potential reason why you could argue that maybe that Rosetta Thorn should have gone to the Dome in order to attack for 5 to the Dome and leave those haze bendings there. It's an interesting decision to make, but I do actually like the idea of the game going longer if you're feeling confident in the matchup. So we've got this Illusionist coming in, and now Toby's got to hit the tank as to whether, okay, do I want this to hit? It's going to mean that I can't Rattlebones, but do I want to just keep all the cards in hand? It's an interesting decision to make at this point in the game.
So Rattlebones is a way that Toby could significantly extend his turns once Sonata and Skeleta's out of the game. So this is probably, other than Erudition, the card that Toby didn't want to see here.
Yeah, okay.
If it's a Warching Herald, if it's just an aura, like if it's a Prismatic Shield, he doesn't really care. But coming in with this threat, I mean, maybe he doesn't have a Rattlebones in hand and it doesn't matter for the next turn, but given the amount of time he's spending in the tank, I imagine it probably does, because given the life totals and the state of the game, I mean, yeah, I would have thought Ty being on 5 here rather than 10 would have been great.
And not having those 2
special shields, but so he's going to 12 because he's getting the Judgment attack plus the 3
pings from the auras.
And the 2 auras, of Toby's own creation, they're a little bit, 2 of those, that damage. I mean, he would have had 1 haze bending, so it's a net loss of 1 life basically for attacking the haze bending.
Yeah, okay.
And plus 5 for Ty, plus 5 life.
Yeah.
Yes, the compounding effect later, if the game goes really long, is that the haze bendings could have been more of a problem if future Mercifuls came down. But I think once you've got Ty to 5 and you've got a 5-card hand, you kind of back yourself to force some blocks.
Okay.
So I'll lead the charge.
We'll lead the charge. Now, this is the way to gain additional action points.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to see from Toby? We're going to see a pitch and a Spellblade Assault, which gets the action point and gains Rune Chant.
And then gains 2 more rune chants.
So
one's popping
off.
and
Three in the back.
3 sitting there. Yep.
Yeah. And looks like oh, excuse you. All right. What do you think's going through Toby's head at this point in time?
I think Toby's thinking, I've got to present... If I can present 10 to 12 damage every turn, I win this game.
Okay.
Because there will be cards in the Prism deck that don't block. Toby knows that. And there are all of the blue auras block for 2. So one of the advantages that Prism had previously when most of your cards were heralds is that they all block for 3, which is sweet. So like all your resources were blocking for 3 and all your attacks were blocking for 3. 60-70% of your deck, if not more, was blocking for 3. Yep. Depending on how many auras you played, you had some block zeros, but whatever. Now you've got a lot of those same block zeros. You know, that Ty's playing 16 block zeros that are yellow, the auras that you have to pay for, plus 12 that block for 2, plus prismatic shields, I think, as well, which he may or may not be playing in this matchup. 2 red prismatic shields. So you've got a lot of cards that either block for 2 or don't block at all. And if Viserai can continue presenting damage that's split between arcane and physical of around that 10 to 12 mark per turn, they're going to whittle away this last 10 life. But Viserai does have to be careful of what's coming back the other way, because all it takes now is 1 card in the Prism hand, and there's 3 power coming back every turn. In 3 separate instances.
3 little pings. Yeah.
Yep.
I really like the way that Ty's been playing this game. Just trying to make sure that he can build up some of those. Oh,
We've got to become the Arc Knight. Any pitch? Yep. Tossing a Spellblade Assault. What are we getting? Is it a Read the Runes? So Toby's got 1 card, I think, out of Ty's hand this turn.
Revel, and then
It's a
attack
Revel.
with the Rosetta Thorn.
Ooh.
Which is pretty big game. So that Revel's going to make 5 rune chance, and then come in with the Rosetta Thorn for 2, 2, and 5.
I didn't see the 1 floating.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
That's a cheeky Rebel.
2, 2, and 9.
2, 2, and 9. Yeah. So let's see. We got 9.
So I think if we... I mean, I don't want to hammer on the point too much, but if we rewind 1 turn, if Toby doesn't hit the Hazebane, he hits face, I think he just wins right now.
Yeah. Because Ty would be on 5 and wouldn't have those 2 auras.
Yep.
Those 2 spectral shields. So...
That's okay, we are here. So we've got 9 coming in, which is reduced to 7 effectively by those spectral shields. So it's still lethal. So Ty can't keep those 2 cards in hand.
Yeah.
Is what Toby's saying, which is... That's a big deal.
Yeah. Now, Toby still does have both the Creepers and the Skullcap. The Skullcap is not turned on at this point in time, but it does still block for 1. The Creepers does still block for 1 as well. So there are some kind of niche situations where you want to block with those and stop a pretty relevant attack.
And Toby can definitely do something like use the Creepers, if it comes to it, and then block with them the following turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of those options as well if Toby wants to try and get maximum value out of the Creepers while still getting the block.
Yeah.
But not going to the next turn with an arsenal does make a big difference here.
Yeah, it's harder to get the match up of both non-attacks and attacks and resources to come in with that Rosetta Thorn and have like that kind of really powerful turn, but worth it considering this 9 plus 4 attack here.
And considering this demands that Ty not have a good turn next turn.
Yeah. So 9 plus the 4 is 13. Ty's on 10. Now, those 2 spectral shields means that it's coming in for 11. What that means is that Ty has to block with at least 1 card. Is my understanding. Is that correct? Now,
that's correct.
Could he block with...
Could block with the Tunic.
The Tunic, but
And that's still lethal.
That's still lethal. And none of the other equipments that he has there block?
Footsteps does, but it costs a resource, and no available resource without a card.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's either block or pitch.
At the most, is going to have 1 card left in hand.
Yep. And it looks like they're both being pitched, and they're both yellows. So we're preventing... Or one maybe a red? I say 3 Toby took off there. So take 6, take 4.
Okay, didn't quite see exactly how that worked out.
Okay, so we're blocking with... Oh, I see. So only pitching for 4, but spending one of them on the footsteps rather than preventing a rune chant.
Yeah.
It's still just stopping 1 damage. So taking 6 rune chants and then preventing... what about the arcane damage on the Rosetta?
I'm going to guess that was included.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's blocked for the entire hand, and it was 13.
No. He only pitched 4, right? So, pitched 4, there were 9 rune chants. There was the special shields. That's why.
Special shields, yeah.
2 special shields. Yeah, that's what I'm missing. Cool.
Yeah.
Goes to 4, has the haze bending. Toby's got 4 cards. Yep.
So, do we see an attack with the haze bending? Can the haze bending...
Yep, I think Toby's taken 1.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just a smashy for 1. So, yeah, 100% there. We've already covered it, but if the Rosetta had gone to face, probably...
Yeah, is that right? Did you want to mention it one more time? Or?
So I think... I'm just trying to remember, how much would it have attacked for compared to Ty's life total?
5.
How much Ty on?
He's on 4.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, what's 4 minus 5? Is it minus 1?
Pretty sure he'd already paid for the footsteps previous attack, so it was a free block. I see. That could well be the case.
Yeah, and then the ending the combat chain by playing
the Revel.
Yeah, cool. Good pickup, John. Good to see that our chat is on top of this and also helping us out. See, it's all about community. It's all about community. So Toby here is looking at his hand. It's not an easy hand at this point, otherwise he would kind of just go through it.
Well, I don't think any hand here for Viserai is easy at this point in the match. Like,
yeah.
Some people, like if you have a card like Become the Arcanite in hand, there are a few different options.
Okay, so we've got a Rattlebones coming in,
which also opens up heaps of options.
Yep.
And a Rune Flash, it looks like just for the go again optionality. So now if Toby has any other play, he can generate rune chance to discount that, but it doesn't look like he does. So he's just got the 1 floating from the first blue, then it looks like he's got another blue which fully pays for the Rune Flash.
Yep.
And then that's going to lead into a Rosetta Swing and an Arsenal, which is a great outcome for Toby at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's threatening lethal off this, lethal off the Rosetta.
Yeah, 4 then 5.
Yep.
Yeah. And with no spectral shields in play, there's no kind of soak damage from that, so it's just kind of like blocking out, and yeah, look, it's a tough position for Ty to be in.
But if we're on Ty's side, we go 1 blue is still really good value here, because it makes a shield, it blocks at the footsteps, and then if we can throw another card in front of the Rune Flash, so we get pitch 1, footsteps, make a shield, block out the Rune Flash with the footsteps and a 3 block, then we've got 5 coming at us, so we've got a shield that's going to prevent 1, maybe block with another card. We've still only got 1 card then, but at least we get an arsenal, and we've pretty much blocked out the damage. I think we take 1.
I think if we pitch a blue to then block with footsteps, then we can also pay the other 2 resources. Instead of making a spectral shield, we can block the rune chant and 1 damage on the Rosetta Thorn.
Yeah.
So, a little bit, so a blue being a lot of value here in terms of soaking up 3 from the different sources that are coming through.
Definitely. Is this format equivalent of, say, MTG Standard? Yeah, so Fab has this is the constructed format. So we're seeing a Soul Shield, which very awkward card to draw here. You don't want a 6 defense reaction at this point if you're the Prism player, because you got to pay for it. So now we're seeing 5 coming in, and Ty's got 2 cards left in hand, but this damage is very split. So one left floating, yeah, that pays for 1 Arcane Barrier, covers off the Rune Chant, and then you've got 2 more cards with which you need to cover the other lethal damage.
Yeah.
So basically this is just demanding another card from Ty, which means Ty's going to have 1 card, Toby's going to have a 5-card hand next turn, with which to try and make it difficult for Ty to survive.
Yeah.
So sorry, yes. Is this format the equivalent of TG Standard? Yes. So there's only 2 constructed formats in Fab. One is Blitz, which is 40-card decks, maximum 2 copies of each card. And then there's Classic Constructed, which is 60-card decks, 3 copies of each card, which is this format. They each have very similar card pools, There are some differences in banned and restricted lists between them. There are some heroes that are only playable in Blitz and Classic Constructed and vice versa. But that's kind of the main summary of it. And sideboarding works differently. So in Classic Constructed, you have 80 cards from which to present a minimum 60 card deck and your equipment. And you can interchange and sideboard before the match once you know your opponent's hero. Whereas in Blitz, you don't have that option. You just have an equipment sideboard. You can't sideboard your 40 cards. They are set.
Yeah. And in Blitz, you start on 20 life. In Classic Constructed, you start on 40 life.
Depending on your hero. But yes, you can only play young heroes in Blitz. Yeah. So most young heroes have 20 life. And most Classic Constructed adult heroes have 40. No worries. So we're seeing the Rosetta come in throughout all of that long story about Fab Constructed formats. The game hasn't advanced, so that was lucky. We've got the Soul Shield blocking out on the Rune Flash. The combat chain hasn't been broken yet, so the Soul Shield hasn't gone to Soul. We've got the Metamorph blocking, 1 damage leaking through because 1 was prevented by the floating resource.
So 1 damage from that Rosetta Thorn, the 2 arcane damage there. So 1 was prevented. We're seeing a chip in for 1 damage and then a draw up to 4 from Ty.
And these chips are super relevant. I mean, they may feel really small, but last turn Toby only got 1 damage through.
Yep, and this turn
Ty got damage through.
Yeah, so, yeah. Toby did get the Arsenal though.
That's huge. Yeah, that's very, very crucial.
So we need to see, for Ty to really get back into this game and really kind of pivot, take control again, is if Toby has a turn where he's got all attacks or non-attacks. If he doesn't have the combination of both attacks and non-attacks, or can't get go again, for instance, then that Rosetta Thorn can't come in. And that's a way that Ty can then soak up a turn with maybe 2 cards and then have a 2-card hand, maybe be able to attack with one of them, or maybe able to arsenal something, and basically start to pivot a little bit into making Toby have the answers. As it stands though, let's have a look. We got
Oath of the Arcanite, which is not the most powerful card in the deck.
Not the most powerful, but it is a non-attack action.
It is.
It doesn't give your thing go again.
Swarming Gloomveil, that's a powerful card.
Yeah, so that one, it's the first Swarming Gloomveil that we've seen for the game.
I think so.
So it doesn't surprise me. It is now created. You've created 2 rune chants for the turn. So we're coming in for 4 plus the rune chant
plus the +1 from the Oath.
Yep. So 5 damage physical plus 1 arcane, with 1 floating and the Rosetta Thorn there. So
and go again.
And go again, because the Swarming Gloomveil has go again, plus an extra card in hand and a card in arsenal. So we could actually see not just the Rosetta Thorn here, but we could actually see some additional things kind of pop off, making it pretty hard for Ty at this point in time.
So if there's another Revel, that's going to be a big problem for Ty, if that's a Revel in arsenal. If there's a Morven Skies... So Morven Skies into Rune Flash wouldn't quite do it. Toby wouldn't have the resources there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what those other 2 cards are. Could be like a Dread Triptych or something.
Could be a Dread Triptych. Could just be like an attack that doesn't get go again. So
we're seeing the Rune Chant get prevented by a pitch, and then 2 cards to block the Swarming Gloomveil. Then we're seeing it become the Arknight, which creates a Rune Chant, and Toby's got the attack to pitch, which means Revel in Rune Blood can get shooted out.
If there is one left in the deck, which I don't believe there is at this point. But I might be wrong. No,
there
is one left. Okay, so this is number 3. Coming down, creating 5 rune chants.
So we go to 7, and then we're coming in with 11, and I think with Ty only having 1 card left in hand. So Toby's coming in for 11 damage against 1 card in hand, and that is just surely going to be too much for Ty to cover up, unfortunately. So Ty really holding on valiantly there, but with that Arsenal setup, there was no way that he could cover off on that amount of damage that Toby was able to put out.
So much damage. So much damage. Yeah. All right, cool.
Super well played. That was captivating, really, really tight from Ty.
Yeah, that was a great great match to watch.
Yeah.
And just commentate as well.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the booth. We got Isaac Lee, Jesse Millman Marshall here.
Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the great feedback in the Twitch chat as well. Let us know how you found the event so far, what you think of the matches, and we're getting into the semis next. So we've now got Toby Firth, Quan Lee, Vincent Liam, and Luke Fletcher. So we've got Toby and 3 people who have already won Pro Quests this season. So if Toby makes the final, he's guaranteed an invite. So there you go.
So Toby still needs to win one more. But Toby's also already in the top 100 at this point in time.
He is, yeah.
So they're kind of already all 4
he's kind of got an invite, but he's not guaranteed.
He's not guaranteed.
If he makes it to the final, if he wins one more game, he's got his guaranteed invite.
Yeah. I mean, he's also just earned a bunch of points, XP from doing really well today. So either way, even if he loses this semi-finals, he's still in a really good spot.
He is, but amazing. I mean, we shouldn't gloss over the fact that the other 3 players in the top 4 have already won Pro Quests in the last month. Like, that's a massive achievement, and I think it's a testament to the strength of the field that we had here today. I think when Grand J sends us through the player list, we were like, yeah, I mean, this is all the good players, or most of the best players in Melbourne, and it's great to see everybody turning out to battle it out and present such a great, strong field. So commiserations to David, Patrick, and Liam, who fell in the quarters. Liam on Starvo, David on Lexi, and Patrick on Reiner, who we saw some wins from Patrick throughout the stream, but unfortunately...
Awesome, Patrick finished top of the Swiss on Reiner. I'm a little bit sad to not see Reiner going into the semis.
Didn't quite make it to the semis. So
I'm also sad that we didn't see Lexi going into the semis as well.
Yeah. But still, as we said, 4 different heroes in the semis. They may be 4 heroes that we expect to do well. The big 3 and Chain, if you like. But still, 4 different heroes. So good work.
Yeah.
Now,
who are we going to see?
I think we're going to have to get Chain on for the next stream, being... Like, we've had a stream of outsiders today, largely. The heroes that are less likely to make it. Featured Reiner in many matches. So I think Chain is the hero that's had the biggest uphill battle to get to this point.
So it'd be Chain versus Briar.
So it looks like, yes, it's going to know. Yes, Chain versus Briar.
So we've got Chain, Briar, Bravo, and Viserai.
So no Prism. Sorry.
There's no Prism in the top.
No Prism.
No Prism in the top 4. Got taken down by Viserai.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, I will go and let our players know that we want Chain and Briar.
Yeah.
For the final match. So I mean, Chain and Briar, obviously 2 really powerful heroes that were hit really hard by the bannings that happened.
Yeah. We got a comment from chat here. Would have liked to see the matchup of Ice Lexi versus Chain.
But before we get into that, we've got Cheats McGill here.
Hey guys! Oh my god.
Okay, we'll
You can stay there. I can get down there and see the fun. Hey gang. Oh my god.
So well done, you made it.
Thank you, man.
Even though you attacked that aura instead of going the face with that Rosetta.
Do you know what?
No, I'm kidding.
He's not kidding.
The thing is that, like, if you let them get on top of you, like, you're dead. And I was like, I think my Arsenal was a morph or something, or it was like, okay, I can set up that for next turn, but.
And you had a big turn the next turn, so that went
my Soens. Did you see my Soens?
I know.
I was like, this is it. This is the
your
flat.
pain.
I'm gonna hit it, and then just drawing 2. It was like, oh my god. Especially when you dump like the quill hand into it, you got no protection for like merciful and odes and stuff. So
nervous moment.
It was like.
But that was still a huge turn because I mean you'd had a regular turn before
that.
It
was like,
and then you're like, I'll just do this for free.
Just for lols. Yeah. This deck is so fun. I just found out as well, the others all above me have already qualified.
So you got to win one more game.
I'm into America.
No, you got to get the final.
Oh my god, what?
Yes.
God damn it. They were like, you've automatically qualified because we can't do it.
You got to get to the final.
Yeah. You gotta, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I haven't.
Who's the next game against anyway?
You should be
Quan.
against Quan.
Oh my god, I've been once today. Starter show is terrible.
Alright, you can do it.
Well, I either win or I won't, right? It's just who I draw as well. If I make like a bucket ton of rune chance, I win. If he just claps me with 3 Oakenors in a row like he did earlier, then I lose.
No, but that was great. That was
really
cool. Super cool
like
game.
that last turn, like playing the become the Art Knight.
Grab the last Revel.
Yeah, I know. I was like, there's one more Revel in there. Surely you cannot stop all his arcane damage. Like,
those Revels were just gross.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't see one Gloom Veil. I didn't see one.
So you didn't even have any Mordred Tarts.
Did I see one Gloom Veil?
Yeah, you did.
One Gloom Veil I got. Yeah. No Mordreds. Yeah.
No, but you blocked with the Mordred early.
I blocked.
That was the other thing. I was like, Toby, what are you doing?
I know, man.
Put that in your
Like, you
arsenal.
hate doing it, but you can get too attached to it sometimes, and you're like. What's it going to do for me next turn? Like, I think I came in.
Kill
a
your opponent.
revelation or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could kill them. Yeah. Or you could just play the Mordred and then you get hit with ALS and you're like, well, that was a waste.
Yeah, true.
So it's gone through too early. It went through 2 ALS early, so that was mega in my favour. I didn't have to be so worried. We've drawn lead the charge and stuff. So yeah. That was good.
Chat just saying from John, Toby, the man, well done.
Man,
so and a little compliment to us commentators as well. So thank you very much, John, for that one. It's really cool to see. We got a vote from I don't know. Chain Briar gets my vote, and I think that's what we're gonna.
Chain Briar, who's on Chain? Chain, Luke, Briar, Vince.
Yeah.
That'd be a meaty one.
Be a good match. So we'll give you a reprieve from stream this time, and we'll have you back in the final.
All right, cheers, guys.
See you then, Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
All right, so we're just gonna have a little 2-minute intermission in the stream, and we'll be back with the semi-final Chain v Briar.
Chain v Briar. Really exciting to see.
See you then.
See you in 2 minutes.
All right, good to
back.
go. Welcome back. Semi-final: Luke Fletcher, Vincent Lim,
Briar
v Chain
versus Chain. Yeah.
So the two other Rune Blades who aren't Viserai. Never thought we'd be describing them as the other Rune Blades and Viserai as the primary, but that's kind of how the meta's shifted. But here they both are in the semi. So Vincent Lim is a well-known Viserai main, I guess you could say, from Melbourne. Played Viserai at Nats, won a Pro Quest in week 1 with Viserai, and now has switched over to Briar to try something else for this final Pro Quest in the season, and has made top 4.
Okay. So, where did Vincent win his first weekend?
Up in Sydney, I believe, or in New South Wales. Yeah.
Ah, cool. So, some pretty impressive play.
And then we've got Luke, who's been playing Chain all through the ProQuest season, I believe. May have played Starvo for one, but I think has played Chain consistently through the season.
And has also either won or got to the finals one.
Yes, I think he won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did win because we saw
at Sal's.
At
got
Sal's,
a foil Dawnblade, gold foil Dawnblade,
which is pretty cool.
Very cool and very fitting, since it is, I think, definitely his favorite hero. He said he didn't have a favorite card, but I'd say Dawnblade would be close.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
When I was
Vincent
actually
Lim won an event in Brisbane at Vault Games. There you go. Not Sydney. It was Brisbane.
Cool. Thank you for that. Chat just helping us out.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks, Chat.
Thanks, Chat.
That's great.
Saving our bacon.
That Zachary. Very nice. Very nice. So, what do you think? I haven't seen this matchup since the bannings on ball lightnings and whatnot. And plunder runs.
Yep, so no ball lightnings on Briar's side, no plunder runs for either of them. We saw, and I described, I guess, in the Swiss rounds when we saw Luke play Chain, the weak points of Chain now. So one of them is resources, which plunder run helped with, right? Because if you plunder run from Arsenal at the start of your turn, every one of your attacks is threatening not only to give you an extra card, but crucially to give you more resources to use for the rest of your turn. So you no longer have that to rely on. So you can't get resources from your arsenal in the same way as you used to be able to. So you can only get resources from your hand most of the time, which means that you've got more pressure on your blocks than you previously did as Chain. You also have to, as I said, play more reds than you used to when Seeds was around, and you can't get away with a lot of the yellow attacks like yellow Riftbinds, which helped with your resource curve. So you're now playing a lot more reds, and you can get these 4 red hands on turn 6 and 7, which are just abysmal. Briar, on the other hand, still has the option of Channel Mount Heroic, or to go for more of a 0 for 4s build. You don't have the ball lightnings, but I think in this kind of aggro matchup, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Your 0 for 4s are just as good as long as you're able to be consistently giving them go again with your embodiments. Not having the plunder runs slows you down a little bit, but you've got some other non-attack actions that you can sub in as well. So we'll just take a quick look through the deck lists and some of the things that Vincent and Luke might be thinking about going into this match.
So Luke is on the play, being higher in Swiss than Vincent.
So it looks like Vincent is on Channel Mount Heroic. Yep. So we've got the Earth package, 3 Earthlore Surge, 3 Blue Earthlore Surge, Blue Autumn's Touch, Blue Weave Earth, Blue Tome of Harvests, and 1 Blue Sow Tomorrow.
Okay.
In terms of other non-attack actions, we've got a pretty standard, sweet but 2 blue Captain's Call, which is interesting. Captain's Call, a great one and a really great call from Vincent. Works on all your 0 for 4s and gives them go again and contributes to your embodiments of lightning.
So we see turn 1...
Make a Rune Chant Arsenal.
Make a Rune Chant Arsenal. And it looks like Luke chose to be on the draw.
Really?
That's what it looks like to be.
What did Vincent do on turn 1?
So Vincent was lower in Swiss than Luke, and appears to have had his turn first. So
what did Vincent do?
Made a Rune Chant and then Arsenal and passed.
That's Luke on the bottom.
Okay.
I was like, very confused. So, made a Rune Chant, Luke's made a Rune Chant and a Soul Shackle.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day, folks.
There are 2 Rosetta Thorns on the field, so I can see how that.
Yeah, I just saw the Rosetta Thorn and yeah. Okay, so Chain down the bottom, Luke down the bottom. All right.
I'll help you out.
Our stream manager's just pointing out that there was more information on the screen to indicate who was in which position than just the cards on the board.
Yeah, well, look, I played well. There's nothing I could have done. So we've got a Command and Conquer coming in from Vince, threatening to take out that Arsenal.
So Command and Conquer, interesting thing here, hard to be buffed. So Luke can just kind of go, I'm turn 2 or turn 1 here. I'm happy to put 2 cards in front of that. Block for 6. As long as I have an attack to come back with after blocking for 6, because most of my attacks block for 3, no attacks block for 2. As long as I have an attack to still come back with, I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlikely Vincent's going to be in a position to buff the Command and Conquer,
Yep.
because the most common pump spell that these Bright Decks are going to play is Lightning Press, which only works on cost 1 or less attacks.
Yeah. Command and Conquer costing 2, meaning that won't come in. Alright, so an interesting decision to make here regarding which cards to block. I suspect that Luke doesn't have just 2 block 3s. Or maybe just really wants to keep a lot of these cards in hand. Maybe considering just taking the 6 and scrapping the Arsenal. There's so many different options in this game.
Yeah.
That it's really hard to kind of predict what people are going to do.
So I think so Zach says, like you have a deck list on hand that's handy, very good. I'm glad that's helpful. Yes, so Vincent is playing Force of Nature, 3 Force of Nature. And interestingly, the other thing I was going to mention is 2 Chains of Eminence, which was from time to time a tech card that people thought about bringing in against Chain. You have to draw it at the right time, you have to make the right call. But you can sometimes trap some things in their Banish Zone. It was more effective when you knew they were going to be hitting and playing Seeds of Agony at the bottom of their stack. But Vince could have sided those in and could be doing something relevant with them in this game. So we do see 3 attacks block. And what I was going to say is the tension for Luke here is if he does only have 2 attacks in hand, this is the turn, these 2 turns, probably 3, turn 1, 2, 3, are the time when he's most vulnerable to bricking on attacks. Because once he gets above 3 Soul Shackles, he's almost certainly going to hit 1 from banishing. So what we're seeing here is that Luke did have 2 3-block attacks, a Shrill of Skullform and a Soul Reaping, and had the Belittle.
Yeah.
So was able to still Belittle. No reveal.
So just coming in for 1 Rune Chant plus the Belittle.
Yep. So we've got 3 go again, card in Arsenal, and I don't think a card in hand anymore, because we have 2 blocks, the Belittle and the Pitch. So then we've got the Rosetta, just for 2. And then we're preserving that Arsenal. So Luke has given up quite a bit to defend that Arsenal. I mean, Soul Reaping, not the most powerful card anymore in Chain. It's still good, but it's it can be a little bit awkward. And drawing it here is really not when Luke wanted it with no other Blood Debt attack to banish with it. So given that he had no way to really leverage banishing a Blood Debt, getting a free resource, and getting the advantage out of that.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second here, Jesse, because I just saw my favourite card. Channel Man Heroic coming down.
Toby Firth's favourite card too.
Yeah. Channel Man Heroic +3 to all of your action card attacks.
Attack action cards.
Attack action cards, yeah.
So Channel Man Heroic, the core of a lot of these Briar strategies that are trying to leverage cheap attacks, throw heaps of them out in a turn, things like Scar for a Scar, and then use Channel Man Heroic to make them into ridiculously undercosted massive threats.
Yeah, so Scar for a Scar has go again if you're on less life than your opponent, which Vince is. So this is coming in for 7 go again.
And this is exactly what Luke didn't want to see. So a turn 1 or turn 2 Channel Man Heroic is the worst case scenario. And then we're seeing Runic Reclamation.
So,
which is threatening 10 damage, kill a Soul Shackle, and make a Rune Chant.
But we see a block for 10 there
to stop the Soul Shackle from getting destroyed.
So 2 on the Skullcap, 2 on the Arknight, and then 6 from hand, so a total of 10.
So 2 whiffs for Luke there. So Channel Man Heroic's surviving here, and I can see at least a Snatch, a Pulse of Candlehold, and something else in Vince's hand there. So Art of War getting played, banishing a Shadow Versa. So Art of War turn, exactly what Luke wants to see. Giving +1 to all his attacks for the rest of the turn. Drawing 2 cards, 2 resources floating, and a Shadow of Ursa in the banish zone. So Shadow of Ursa is 0 cost attack that attacks for 2. You can banish a card with Blood Debt from your hand to give it go again. So we're seeing a Minnowism red by the looks, and then a Shadow of Ursa banishing a mutated mass, I believe, which is a great hit for Luke. It's only going to be mutated mass attacking for 2 base, but +1 from the Art of War makes it at least into a 3.
Yeah, okay.
And Luke hasn't Soul Shackled this turn yet, so it's going to be able to be a 3 attack turn off what looks like a 2 card hand plus the Arsenal. So attacking for, if this is a red Minnowism, then this is going to be 6 plus 3, so 9 plus 4. 13 damage off 2 card hand and Arsenal is not too bad.
Yeah, and it's an interesting situation for Vince because Vince wants to keep a bunch of cards in hand to really get value out of this Channel Man Heroic.
Doesn't want to block.
And so it's a good time to get a whole bunch of damage in for Luke.
So Vince just reading Mutated Mass, can't blame Vince. It's not one that gets all that commonly played. I think everybody who's built and tinkered with Chain probably has it as their 80th to 83rd card, 81st to 84th card a lot of the time. But Luke playing it to good effect here in these 2 games.
And then coming in for 4 with that Rosetta Thorn as the last action there. Alright, so
sorry, I just missed that. There was no block there from Vince, was there?
No. Took a whole bunch of damage going down to 23.
23.
Does turn on the Scar for a Scars.
Yep.
So we got a fused lightning attack that does 7 damage. Go again. So 4 plus the additional 3 with Channel Man Heroic.
So for me, I feel like this is a crucial turn for Luke.
What's this card here?
Pulse of Candlehold. So putting 2 cards on top, which are Earth or Elemental. I didn't see what those 2 cards were.
Just the 1 card, it looked like. That's possibly going to be the idea being...
Revel in Runeblade?
Revel in Runeblade, which also gets an embodiment of lightning.
Mm-hmm. And then I know there's a Snatch in hand, which is now going to have go again.
Yeah.
4 Rune Chants, and then 7 off the Snatch, so perfect time to chuck the Husk. And Luke's gone just below, which turns on the Skullcap. Embodiment of Earth for the first attack, I guess, which hit.
Yep. And then Channel Man Heroic down. We've got...
So Luke now hitting Ghostly Visit and Shadow Versa. So if Luke's got 1 card in hand here, that's pretty perfect from a Chain perspective. Don't know exactly how many cards Luke's got. So we've got a Shadow of Ursa with a Banish for a Tome of Torment. Wow, that's super nice now. So Tome of Torment is one way that you can get additional resources from your Banish Zone, but it costs you an action point. However, if you got creepers, you can somewhat negate that disadvantage.
Yep.
Luke hasn't used creepers here at the moment, but he could at any point in this turn play that Tome of Torment using his creepers.
Really interesting here.
So down to 21, up to 4. So he just uses the Shackle for the Tome of Torment, doesn't commit the creepers at this point, which I think is sensible. Shadow Puppetry, which now means if Luke's got another way to gain resources here in hand, so perfect. So pitch for 2, Ghostly Visit now coming in for 5, go again. If it hits, Luke gets to potentially banish the top card of his deck, and then Rosetta for 2 and 2.
Awesome. So a lot of stuff coming in here for Luke on chain. And this is, despite taking some pretty sizable hits from that Channel Man Heroic.
So Vince now leaning into his equipment to try and keep up some tempo for himself.
Ooh.
And last card in hand, a Revel in Runeblood. So that is a huge threat now. So blocking out the Ghostly Visit to prevent the Shadow Puppetry trigger, but then taking the vanilla damage off the Rune Chance from the Revel, and now thinking about the Rosetta.
So what do you think the chances are that Luke's going to remember to take one Blood Debt from that Husk? I can't see the Husk at the moment, so...
Yeah.
Usually, we keep the Husk in the,
Blood Debt
zone.
Yeah.
To remember that one. It's just a hard
Luke's
thing
played
to
a lot
remember.
of chain lately, so...
Yeah, I mean, Luke's rank 4 in the world or something.
Yeah.
So I think the bet is that he does remember. But,
I'd say that the odds are above 50%.
Yeah.
And Luke takes one.
It's just an interesting question because, Luke, his memory is insane, right?
This is true.
Yeah, he pitch stacks like an ain't no fang. Always remember. I remember the first time I played against Luke, and it was halfway down the game, and he just named what was in my hand. He'd memorized.
Was that disconcerting?
It was. He'd memorized his own pitch stack, but he'd also memorized my pitch stack, which is pretty insane.
So in comes Entwine Lightning.
So 4 go again. And we've got an Embodiment of Earth coming in. Both sides, that Revel and Runeblood. So much damage. 0 for 4 Arcane. Just great. Does even more with Viserai when it makes the extra ones.
Yeah, when it's 0 for 7 on a Mordred Time turn.
Yeah.
It's kind of slightly above rate.
Slightly above rate, 0 for 7. So we've got an Enlightened Strike coming in. Maybe for 7? And then Arsenal. And we'll see
Luke's
Embodiment.
reasonably happy to take if he gets a 5-card hand here. 2 Demigons and a Riftbind. So Luke, as opposed to last game against Patrick, where Luke missed largely on Blood Debts, particularly from turns 1 to 4. 3 out of 4 here on turn 4 is exactly where you want to be as chain.
Yeah, especially when it's a 10 versus 13 kind of tight
Oh
matchup.
yeah, and if Luke's been able to keep 5 cards here with creepers, which indicates that. So that's interesting. The Tome of Torment taking up the Shackle is 1 less attack you get to do.
Yep.
On the turn, but we'll see whether
Creepers gets activated.
Creepers gets activated later in the turn. Yeah. Because it could be Creepers for a Revel later to get 2 action points back. Then totally reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Toby wins in the other match against Quan. So we've got a Toby v someone final.
Viserai, a Toby. Which is very cool to see. Congratulations to Toby. This match, though, this looks complicated, right? There's a lot going on. This is the thing, I've played a fair bit against Chain, with you playing Chain, and there's just so many cards in different zones and hand pitch.
I mean, I got to the end of playing 3 games as Chain at Nationals and I was exhausted.
Yeah, it's
First
just
3.
such a mentally exhausting game. There's just so many actions here.
Can I just say, double Shad Pup. What a turn.
Shut up!
So, Shadow Puppetry into Demagon, into Shadow Puppetry, into Demagon. And that's, if you're Luke, the perfect hand for you to see with that banish. So Luke was sitting on a likely at least one Shadow Puppetry plus the Tome of Torment in hand, and going, I hope I can have a reasonably big turn here with this. Like if I hit well, either on my Tome or my Banishes or my Shad Pup triggers. But hitting 3 attacks, 2 of which are Demigons, so free to play, with that kind of hand where you've got the extenders but not the attacks is just perfect. The hand and the Banish Zone just married up perfectly.
It's hard to block when it's just coming through so many different instances. That Embodiment of Earth, does turn those 2 blocks into 3 blocks, and even the couple of 3 blocks into 4 blocks.
And obviously, Art of War pitched. That's a power move. For a Belittle, for 3 go again, with 1 floating, which means we're going to see a Rosetta for 2 and 2. So this is, presenting lethal and saying to Vincent, now you got to get on the back foot. No more trying to stay on the front foot. No more trying to keep your 5-card hand together.
No.
Time to start blocking.
It's time to start blocking. And splitting it up as well.
And it might not be a Rosetta here, because Luke has played 3 non-attack actions, so that Riftbind in the Banish Zone is going to be for 5 if that comes in, which might be the play. Especially if Vince blocks for 2 and takes 1. No, then it doesn't really make a difference. No.
Yeah. Though there is something to be said for 2 and 2, because it's still lethal, but it's over 2 different damage sources.
Yeah.
So
something to be said for it.
Yeah. But taking the extra damage from Blood Dead as well.
Yeah, I think that's the relevant part for me. With the life totals as they are.
Yeah, I'd rather be going down to 9 rather than 8.
Lose 10% rather than 20% of your life.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So Vince is sitting there going, how am I going to pivot? Like, how am I going to get back into this swing? Is it going to involve me blocking out here and then...
so there's the Riftbind for 5. Yeah. So we saw a block. I think that was a Gloom Veil. Did that just block? I think it did. And then we've got... So what Vince is looking at here is, how can I keep this hand together to the maximum extent? How many cards can I force out of Luke's hand next turn? That's the big question.
Now, hypothetically, if Luke was to draw, all non-attack... all attacks.
All attacks, yep.
All attacks.
Yep.
And then, exile, 5 Bounding Demigods.
Oh, yeah, then it's brutal.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's in Luke's arsenal, but if it's not an Art of War, I'd be seriously considering having played it. And asked that Art of War. Yeah, there were lots of little things. We didn't see Creeper's activation there, so, that's something else that could have happened for that Tome of Torment, instead of using the Shackle on that.
So we've got Nimblism from hand, and a Lightning Surge from arsenal, coming in for 7 go again.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what's in Luke's arsenal here.
Alright, so we've got...
Block 1, take 6.
1, take 6, which would put...
Which is
3.
dead to Lightning Surge.
Yeah. That doesn't... But, and Vince has got 1 card left in hand.
1 or 2?
Good question.
So I don't think Luke needs 5 cards here.
Might be blocking with Creepers as well. Just considering what the other options are here.
So Vince does have 2 red Lightning Press in the deck. They maybe get sided out against Chain, but I don't think so. I think in the aggro mirror, you want your Lightning Presses. If you're blocking and you're needing to block with every card in your hand, you're probably losing.
Yeah. Alright, so I see a block from hand as well as a block from the equipment.
So block 4, take 3. Is that right?
I don't know what the card that's blocking.
It's a Demigon. It blocks for 3, so Luke's blocked 4 total.
4, take 3. Yeah.
But he should have been on 9.
He was on 9, so he should be on 6 now.
Just gonna double check that.
Yeah, we'll just double check that one. See if it's correct. In the meantime, Mono Isaac coming in here. All-time 13 wanting to see a Starvo final. Unfortunately, not going to happen. Viserai taking down Starvo there. We're just checking to see whether that wife total was correct or not. Started the turn with 9 wife. 1 block on the equipment, plus 3 from hand. So I should be on 2. Yep. Alright, we've got that fixed up. And now we're going to what could be the last turn for Luke here. Really needs to basically win this turn. Otherwise, he's in a bit of a world of strife. Alright, what is that? There was a handshake, there was a fist pump, but there was a lot of stuff going on, and a Rosetta Thorn. So, I don't know.
I didn't see what happened. I think Vince might have scooped to the banishes.
Okay.
Because those looked like really good banishes. There was a howl and some other things in there.
Okay, so Vince knows the matchup intimately enough, knows what's happening here, and Luke takes the W.
Sweet. So well done. Well done to Luke. That was a ripper game.
Ripper!
We expected going into it that, of course, it's going to be an aggro matchup. Briar's going to try and go fast. It's going to be about, can Briar get enough damage onto chain before those key turn, 5, 6, 7?
And we saw a turn 2 Channel Man Heroic.
Turn 2 Channel Man Heroic almost did it. I think if there was one more big attack that Vince could have put in before that snatch, or if there was a Force of Nature on one of those 2 Channel Man Heroic turns, then it might have been different.
Yeah, to draw some cards. But, or if the Channel Man Heroic had stayed around for another turn. So if there just hadn't been two Earth cards.
Or another one to follow it up.
Yeah, another one to follow.
Yeah.
So there's some different things there. But did come out early. Did do a sizable amount of damage in the 2 turns that was there.
And to be honest, I think it was that banish on turn 4 that Luke had, hitting 3 relevant attacks, the 2 bounding demigons that were good. I think they were both reds. And then the Riftbind just set that turn up perfectly to complement Luke's hand. So it was good. Didn't even need the Art of War.
Didn't even need it. Pitch it. No, I'm pitch for 2. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's yellow.
That's what Art of War's for. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll take a very quick break, and we'll be back with the final. Isaac, I might just leave you. Twitch chat, got any questions or anything? Just have a chat, and I'll just go sort it out there. Back in a sec.
So they're going to sort out the finals. I tell you what, today's been just a whole bunch of fun. Really enjoyed commentating, hanging out with the players. Again, I'm going to come back to this community aspect of Flesh and Blood. I tell you, a good pro quest is like a pro quest where everybody, comes together, plays the tournament, has a good fun, right? There's some good camaraderie, people maybe stick around and watch the finals. A great pro quest is when people stick around and draft. And there's multiple drafts going on in the room behind us. From people that just I'm going to stick around. So three drafts going on at the moment. I just got the number fed to me. Just great. We've got our production manager. I want to say thank you to our production manager for an excellent job in terms of setting up all the graphics and that kind of thing. It's been pretty cool to see. We've got a "You're welcome" coming at me from our manager here. And I also want to say thank you to Jesse. Jesse's been incredibly insightful with Flesh and Blood. Really good at commentating. Really good at having that really profound insight and being able to analyze all those cards. Being able to see it just off some random art that I don't quite recognize. So incredibly handy to have around. Most importantly, I want to thank the viewers. Right, so. We've been just talking to a void, which I'd actually be fine with, but I much prefer it with the interaction that Twitch chat have had. So thanks Twitch chat for hanging around and being just lovely people to interact with and correcting me on the times that I needed to be corrected, or correcting Jesse, or correcting the board state when we missed it. So yeah, incredibly helpful.
All right.
Welcome back, Jesse.
Thank you. So we've got Toby and Luke, and they have just confirmed that they are playing winner takes all in their prize packs.
Winner takes all.
There you go.
All right. Did you give them a prize pack?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
I gave Lee a prize pack though. That was good.
I was there for that one. It was pretty good to see.
Lee tried to slip me a prize surreptitiously, and he was like, you can have this card face down. And I was like, I'll trade you for this pack. And he was like, sure, that sounds good. Got ya. It was just a pry. And little did you know that the pack I gave him was full of 10 prize.
So good.
Watch it, 9 prize and a bad beats.
9 prize and a bad beats. I love the bad beats. I collect foil bad beats just because I think that's just a great name for a card.
It is. So Toby's got the PTI, which is great, or the invite to Pro Tour number 1.
Yep.
Which is also a really great win for us because it means we get to go to the Pro Tour with Toby.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Rooting for Luke in the finals to see him collect the W. That's nice. But Luke's already got a W. Can we let Toby have one?
No. No. No W for Toby. He's got to work harder for it. He hasn't been playing long enough.
It's true.
Only since Arc, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go, Toby. Doing it for my boy Viserai.
Yeah, look.
I think Viserai's got a lot of fans out there because there were a lot of people who got on Viserai in Arcane Rising when it didn't really work. You had no Sonata Arcanix until Monarch. And then you got to Crew, and people were like, oh, we've got some new tools, we'll keep trying. Got Morphin Skies, like, nice. Still wasn't great. And then Monarch comes out, and you got Sonata, you're like, oh, Bloodsheet Skeletor, combo, awesome. Still gets outclassed by a lot of other things. It's finally having its time to shine.
Yeah.
So
that was the deck that I played in the first Pro Quest 3 weeks ago in Adelaide.
Viz.
The one that you won. And I love that deck. Like, Revel and Runeblade is just such a good card. And then the kind of complicated combo component to it, okay, so I want to play this and then this and then this and then this and then this, and in order to maximize the number of rune chants that I'm creating, try to split the amount of damage from different sources. It's just a really cool little puzzle to try to figure out each turn. Hard to figure out. Yeah, really hard deck to play correctly. So
very much so, and I think it's interesting how different it is to Chain. You've got a lot of similar elements, but you're playing it turn to turn, plus your key threats left in your deck. Whereas with Chain, a lot of your stuff is a bit interchangeable. Your Blood Dead attacks are largely Blood Dead attacks, and it's kind of just maximizing damage on the maximum number of turns later through your pitching and stuff, as Luke described. Whereas with Viserai, a lot of it's how much should I commit this turn? How much have I actually got left in my deck to draw in the future?
When should I pop up the Skeletor?
Yeah,
when should I start activating the creepers?
What's my opponent doing?
Do I do it now? Do I wait? Do I block out and then just make 3 rune chants with this Rune Blood incantation or something like that? Yeah.
Do I block for 3 with my Rattlebones and my Become the Arcanite now so that I can do some damage next turn? Or do I try and set up, block with my attacks, make some rune chants next turn, and try and set up the Become the Arcanite for a combo in 2 turns time? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Arsenal is super important though for Viserai. And we saw Toby use the Arsenal really, really well.
Yeah. So we're jumping straight in.
So we've got a quick question. What new class would you both like to see come out next? I can see Isaac rooting for Necromancer.
Yeah. I would dig a Necromancer. Or Warlock. Or yeah. I think there's some kind of Swashbuckler or something coming out at some point.
Okay. Interesting.
I mentioned something along those lines. There was something. Bard. There's Bard at some point. Yeah, so Bard, that's the one that I'm actually looking forward to the most.
So one thing, we haven't really seen creatures / allies explored very much. Chain's got Eclipse that summons Ursa, and we've got Doomsday that summons Blasmophet. But if there was something like a Bard that could summon small to medium-sized creatures to fight for you that could be attacked and killed by your opponent, it'd give you that kind of Prism feel, but slightly different.
Yeah.
Maybe if they weren't weapons and didn't attack like Spectral Shields, but they gave you some benefits.
I could see there's just been a bunch of people that are I don't even care how bad or good Bard is, I'm playing it.
Yeah. I'm making some music and summoning some woodland creatures to my side.
Yeah. So yeah, I would very much like to explore both Necromancer and Bard. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. And in terms of me, I don't know. I'm pretty happy just playing whatever. I'll just like jump into whatever comes out and enjoy the new game mechanics. Yeah. I like Viserai. I thought the elements, the 3 different heroes are really cool. I was excited to see a new Ranger. I wouldn't mind seeing another new Wizard. I think Icelander plays with Wizard stuff in a different way to Kano, and it'd be nice to see that in Classic Constructed rather than just a young hero.
So just to give the viewers a bit of a scope of how many different heroes Jesse plays, builds, and kind of messes around with. Just recently in the last week, he's like, hey, I want to test this matchup. Can you play like 5 games of you playing Starvo, Isaac, whilst I play
Azalea.
Azalea. Just getting in
just
there.
like, there's some new Ranger cards that have just come out, so I've got to feel how Azalea goes with these new cards.
Yeah,
Not well. It's not a good deck.
It
No,
was a bit
it
of
can
a
do
story.
some stuff, but
But I think it's a
not
good
better than anyone else. That's for sure.
I think it's a good kind of like reflection on how you just like to get in there and play just different heroes, get your head around everyone but Reiner and just enjoy yourself,
Yeah, I don't think I've got my head around Reiner. I just don't like playing it.
How much have you played Reiner in either draft or...
I've played Levi. I probably haven't played Reiner.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Enough. I've played against Reiner enough to know that I don't want to play Reiner.
I played Reiner in the Farewell to Welcome to Wrath drafts. So I played a couple of Reiners, and I actually really enjoyed playing Reiner. Like, just like doing a whole bunch of damage and intimidating people. It was fun.
Yeah, getting rid of their options. And Patrick played it beautifully today on the stream. Intimidated away cards on those key turns and presented some massive Bloodrush Bellow turns. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Are we ready to go back to the table, or are we shuffling up still?
We're still shuffling up.
Okay.
We did some sideboarding, and now we're doing another shuffle.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh, well, let's go back and have a look at them shuffling. I'm sick of looking at us. I'm sure everyone else is.
Shuffle cam.
Shuffling, sending messages, all good.
Yeah.
I'm on TV, Mum.
I'm on TV, Mum. I'm going to the Pro Tour, Mum. Like, yeah. This, Viserai versus Chain. So, 2 Rune Blades in there, both playing Rosetta Thorn. Tell you what, Rosetta Thorn, that's a good weapon.
Yeah, before the ban announcement happened with Plunder Run and Ball Lightning, my target if I was LSS would have been Rosetta Thorn. I think it is just too good at 1 resource for 4 damage too often, and the damage is split across Arcane and Physical. It's just above rate compared to what other weapons can do. I mean, whatever. I'm not clamouring for Rosetta to be banned or anything, and I think they've successfully neutered Chain and Briar largely back to being fair with the rest of the pack. But Viserai is... If Starvo wasn't able to put out such consistent damage, Viserai would be stomping people.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting that kind of like the rock, paper, scissors-esque aspect of Viserai has a decent matchup versus Prism. Prism has a decent matchup versus Starvo, and then Starvo has a decent matchup versus Viserai. Although, seeing the way that Joel played Viserai into Starvo today, I'm like, maybe there's actually some game there. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
And Toby just won the semi-final against Kwan, who was on Starvo.
Yeah.
I heard that there was a Sonata turn involving about 25 damage for the first 9th blade attack or thereabouts, and that was too much for Kwan to handle.
Yeah, okay. So, turn 1 for Luke is make a rune chant, Arsenal a card, pass.
Also going first, huge.
Yeah.
In this matchup, both relying on arsenals and both relying on the capacity to generate rune chants, another advantage. Rune chants / soul shackles on turn 1. So become the Arcanite for a tutor.
Yep.
Turn 1. What are we getting? An attack. So we're getting rid of the Rattlebones and grabbing a...
Swarming Gloomveil. Yeah.
Correct.
So Swarming Gloomveil is going to come in for 3 go again, making 1 rune chant. And then we'll see what else comes in. So this creates both a non-attack and attack, turning on Revel and Runeblood. So Toby creating that rune chant, coming in for 3. Now there are some pretty cool, tricky little things that you can do with creepers and Swarm and Gloom Veil, because you can activate creepers and play something as an instant,
Which Toby did against Daniel.
Yep, and that creates an aura, and that then turns on. That was pretty cool. So we had what is that rune chanting? Which one's the
Read the Runes.
Read the Runes. I always forget the names of these cards.
So Toby could have creepers that in.
Yep.
But for an extra damage, and knowing that he instead could Arsenal rather than creepers, read the runes, come in with Rosetta, pop on my rune chants.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea to just create those rune chants, maybe build up, maybe have one of those combo turns.
Maybe try and combo next turn. Because even if that is like a Revel and Runeblood in Arsenal or something here, with the Vexing Quill hand, if Toby draws a Sonata, he can conceivably Sonata for 5 or 6 next turn.
Yeah. Could also have some pretty big turns with like Revel and stuff like that, and it's early enough that Chain isn't creating those immense amount of resources from banishing.
But we have seen a Soul Reaping with the Soul Shackle, so go again on this Soul Reaping, banishing a Blood Debt card to get a free resource. I can't quite say what the Blood Debt card is, but kind of looks like a Demagon.
So this attack coming in, what's the power?
6 plus 1 from a rune chant.
6 plus the 1 rune chant. Any hit triggers?
No.
Okay. So a fair bit of damage. I'll be pretty excited if we see just no blocks here, because I reckon that means that Toby has a sweet hand. So just taking the 7, going to 33.
So big turn here for Luke. It's a Ghostly Visit. Okay, so Morven Sky's Ghostly Visit still with 2 cards means this Ghostly Visit's threatening a number of rune chants on here that looks like a blue, so 1 rune chant probably on hit, but then threatening the Rosetta and still having an Arsenal.
Yeah. So it's coming in for how many damage?
4.
So we could see a block with equipment even early on if Toby's planning to pop off this Skeleta. Could be a solid block here.
And I think realistically for Toby, if you have it, like if you've got a Morven Skies and a Sonata, for example, here, you don't wait.
Yeah.
You've got 5 rune chants to start the turn. You've got Morven Skies, Sonata, and Revel are kind of the 3 cards you want amongst your 5-card hand here. If you've got them, you don't wait for that to happen again, because you're not going to get a better opportunity.
So all the way down to 20. So
he took 20 damage that turn, did he?
I think he was already at 33.
No, I think he took 7 at the start of the turn, did he?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with a go again. No,
Lead
draw
the
a card.
charge.
Lead the charge and then
E-strike,
coming
draw a
for
card.
E-strike, draw a card.
Okay. So 10 damage.
Yeah.
Go again, so he's got the card back.
Alright. What's next?
Okay, well that's the big threat that we saw last game from Vince. So threatening to eat up a Soul Shackle.
So 7 damage, no go again, but creepers are still available.
Yep. Only 1 card left though, I believe.
Yeah, so unlikely that we're going to get a creeper's activation. Yeah, incredibly unlikely. But still, this 7 damage is threatening to kill one of those Soul Shackles.
And crit a rune chant. So the question for Luke here is, does he go in with the early Husk? Or does he block out with some cards in hand and have a slightly weaker hand next turn to protect the Husk?
Yeah. Husk blocking for 6, big game.
Yeah, but Toby has put a lot of resources into this turn, because those 5 rune chants weren't just damage, like they were a resource that Toby's given up
Yeah.
in order to present the amount of damage that he has this turn.
Yeah, and just basically kind of said, like, I'm not going to Skeleta anytime soon. So the other option there for Toby was to kind of block out a whole bunch of his entire hand, just going, I'm going to wait to try to get this, like a good Skeleta hand. Which is a little dangerous because you just might not ever hit it.
Yep. And you're not threatening to strip any cards out of Chain's hand. So Chain gets the maximum opportunity to...
Capitalise.
Yep.
Has maximum tempo, and then can also just exile a bunch of good cards off the Chain ability.
And Toby also knows that the Chain deck is a bit vulnerable to losing cards from hand, in the sense that things like the Belittle package, you need a few cards to make that work. So here, getting the Husk, which is, a big price to be getting on turn 2, has given up a lot of life to get there. We're seeing an Invert Existence hit the Banished Zone, which is threatening 2 arcane damage on tap.
Okay, so Skullform coming in.
And that looks like a blue Shrill, so not a huge
blue,
amount of
blue
damage.
Shrill. So 5 damage.
Yeah. Plus the Minnoism, which I think's a red.
And he has created a Soul Shackle this turn.
So 8 go again, threatening the Rosetta, with I think 1 card left, and the Invert Existence sitting in the Banished Zone. So we can see a Spellblade Assault, a Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath, and a Meet and Greet, I believe, in Toby's hand. So a lot of 3 blocks, a lot of attacks. The cards that you want to see off your Sonata rather than seeing right now, I think. But again, for Toby, and this is the thing about this matchup between Viserai and Chain, the plan of just block out and try and get to a good turn gets harder. If he's not presenting anything back the other way, not trying to strip cards out of Luke's hand, it becomes a problem.
Yeah. The Husk being an exile and being Blood Debt, so 1 damage each turn, does also add up over a long period of time. So there is some benefit to just kind of blocking out, but then also those shackles getting bigger and bigger, meaning that, can be a bit of a problem. So, we block for 6, take 2, and Rosetta Thorn coming in, and we're taking 4. Okay. And we see an Arsenal and Pass from Fletcher, Luke Fletcher.
Who takes 2 Blood Debt, 1 for the Invert and 1 for the Husk.
Alright. So, Morven Skies into... what do we got there? Is that Shrill as well?
Shrill, yep. And I don't think either are playing red Shrill from memory, so I think it's probably a blue.
Yep, makes sense. So we're taking 1 from the Rune Chant straight up.
Actually, Luke might be playing red Shrill, but Toby's not. Let's have a look.
And then we see a block 7. And then coming in with Rosetta Thorn for 2, 2, and 1. So down to 20. And no card in Arsenal. Drawing up. We see 2 hits, it looks like.
Is that a Half from Beyond and a Demagon? So in terms of colours of Demagons, I was trying to figure this out last game. It's too hard to see them. And let's see what the options are. Just have a look at Luke's deck list. So we've got 2 yellows, 3 blues, and 3 reds.
Now, even though Toby's on 14 and Luke is on 20, key difference here in that equipment. So you see that Toby, now is that a Vexing Quill hand or is that, okay.
It's a Quill hand.
So 2 4 block available on the helmet plus the Scalita, and then 1 extra block available from the Creepers. Whereas if we look on the other side, Luke has just the 1 block available from the Creepers. So we see the first use of that Skullcap being a block 2, and then Rosetta Thorn coming in, and a block with Scalita, and then we see 2 damage from Blood Debt for Luke Fletcher, and then a pass the turn.
And I think 2 cards here for Toby. So if Toby's got a Rune Chant Generator, 3 cards for Toby. Okay. And that's a good 3-card hand. Because that's actually presenting a reasonable amount of damage.
Yep.
Spellblade Assault with a relevant on-hit trigger from, I think, a red Morven Skies.
Yep.
Creepers goes in front, and then Rosetta for 2, 2, and 3.
So we see a pitch 3 to block the 3 Rune Chants, and then get hit for 4.
So 14 plays 12. Luke did block with a couple of cards there. He's hit some nice banishes. So 4 Blood Debt cards. The key question here now is how many non-attacks does Luke have? No creepers to give Go Again.
Yeah, so Go Again is going to be key here. And we might actually see Blood Debt be a problem.
Could be.
If we don't have enough...
but we've got a Shadow Puppetry. So that's a good start for Luke. Shadow Puppetry, a pitch, which is the only way to turn on that mutated mass to even do anything. And we've still got a card in Banish. So if that's like another Shadow Puppetry, that's big game.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem for Toby. But if Luke is restricted to 2 attacks here, he's going to take an actual chunk of Blood Debt. He's going to take 4 Blood Debt.
Four Blood Debt is a lot. Especially because, if Toby comes in with a big attack that means that you might have to block some, then that Blood Debt could get, you could get another 3 or 4 Blood Debts next turn, and that could be a real problem.
So
that being said, I think I'd still prefer to have the Blood Debts than to not have the Blood Debts. Just the multitude of options available.
So Toby's done a really valiant effort of keeping on attacking Luke's life total, despite Luke's card advantage at this stage of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the really difficult part where Luke has presented enough damage on these key turns that Toby hasn't been able to get Rune Chance generated and get an Arsenal on these turns.
Mm-hmm.
So each of Toby's subsequent turns is a little bit weaker, or he takes a little bit more damage.
Yep. Still got 1 block, potentially, not currently, but potentially available with that Skull Cap.
No, Toby's behind, so...
Yeah, true. 12 versus 14. Thank you for the correction. So, 1 block available on that Skull Cap. Probably, in an emergency, you've also got 2 other blocks there. So, 1 on the Skeletor, but it would kill it, and 1 on the Creepers, but it would kill it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got that Vexing Cruel Hand can still at any point pop off to make 2 Rune Chance, just to, have a pretty decent turn.
And the fact that those 2 Rune Chance are 2 resources, if Toby ever draws a Sonata, is big. Like, if Toby's got a Sonata sitting here, this Shadow Puppetry trigger is not super impactful, given the amount of options Luke has in the Banish Zone. So he banishes a Tome of Torment, which is really interesting, actually, because that's probably the one thing Toby didn't want to see there. So we see... Oh, he doesn't have the Creepers, so I guess that makes it a little bit harder to play the Tome of Torment. But we've got a Go Again Demagon. So if that Arsenal card for Luke is a Captain's Call or a Shadow Puppetry or Morven Skies, there's a big problem.
Big
for
problem.
Toby.
Yeah.
That's 2 more attacks.
2 more attacks, and so we're going to have some required blocks. So, we block 4 on this.
As it is, so Toby's covered up the 4, and he's got 1 more attack coming, which is going to be, at the moment, a maximum of 4.
Yep.
It could be, I'm just trying to think, so he could play the Invert Existence for 2 Arcane and then attack with Shadow Versa, but that's still a total of 4.
Yep.
But it does get 2 Blood Debt cards out of Luke's Banish Zone. But if that's a 0-cost non-attack action that can give Go Again, then it adds pretty much another 2 damage, yeah. Okay, so it doesn't look like it is.
So no Go Again at this point in time.
But looks like Luke is going for the Invert Existence play. So play the Shadow of Ursa just to get it out of the Banish Zone, and then Invert Existence with that last resource to save himself a Blood Debt and threaten another 2 damage.
Okay. So this one here is coming in for how much?
2.
2. Okay. And 1 resource
So
floating?
2 and 2, basically, with the Shadow of Ursa and the Invert Existence.
Okay. So Toby can take 4 here, go to 3. And then Luke's going to take 4 Blood Debt or something like that?
3 Blood Debt.
So the Husk and 2 others.
Yep, Husk, Tome of Torment, and Mutated Mass.
Okay. And steal that card in Arsenal, which we don't know what it is.
Could be another Invert Existence.
Alright, so
Toby's just thrown away all the equipment. He's thrown away the Creepers and the Skeletor.
Yep.
Luke is playing the Invert Existence, banishing 2 cards from Toby's graveyard to deal 2 arcane damage. Toby deciding whether to prevent one using the Quill Hand. Surely not.
Yeah, it's interesting. So those 2 plus the husk.
Or maybe Luke banished 2 attacks and didn't throw in 2 damage? No. Surely, yeah, okay. I was going to say.
Down to 5.
That would be some
no
serious big
Skeleta
brain
here.
stuff.
So,
no Skeleta, but still the Quill Hand.
Yep. This is a big turn here. So really, it seems
Leave
like
the charge, E-Strike, draw a card.
seems like Toby really needs to get in 11 damage this turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just basically say, look, you have to take at least 1 card out of your hand. All right, so you see a block for 6. And we've played a non-attack and attack, so we can come with the Rosetta Thorn. We could also just play this Arcanix here.
Does he Quill Hand is what he's asking. I think he wants to Quill Hand because I think this turn is actually... The lower he gets Luke, the more likely his Blood Debt is lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's very unlikely he's going to end up with 7 Blood Debt. But yeah, see, I mean, that he's not going to clear out both Tome of Torments. And, yeah, it's okay. He's still got the Quill Hand for next turn if he can make it that far.
Yep.
So it is really going to depend on whether Luke has a way to capitalise on those Tome of Torments, which is going to be hard for him to do whilst presenting 2 attacks here. Because the Tome's going to take him an action point, and he's starts the turn with 2 action points effectively, you know, 1 from Chain and his natural action point.
So if Toby had kept that Skeleta alive, that turn could have made 2 rune chants with the Quill Hand,
And
then popped
Sonata.
off the Skeleta,
Yep.
and played the Sonata. X equals 1, so revealing the top 4 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been interesting to see what happens in that. Often it's just 0 damage, nothing with. So, yeah. Alright, 5v9. We've got 4 Blood Debt cards, plus the Carrion Husk. We're going to see...
2 of the Blood Debt cards are Tome of Torment.
Yeah, now what does Tome of Torment do?
So it's 0 cost, no attack action, draw a card, but doesn't
Yep.
have go again.
Okay.
So Luke is playing a Riftbind for 3. So this is not a super powerful situation for Luke to be in.
Okay.
He doesn't have go again non-attacks by the looks of things, which is stymieing his ability to make use of those Tome of Torments, but also of the Blood Debt cards in his Banish Zone generally.
Do you reckon it's a Revel and Rune Blood as the last card in Arsenal?
Well, even if it is, he has no way to leverage it this turn,
Yeah.
given the Tome of Torments. So he's just coming in with a Mutated Mass for 2, and he's going to take 3 Blood Debt and go down to 6.
Okay. So, Toby can decide to take this. There's 2.
Mm-hmm.
1 resource floating. Does it have go again? Like, do we have the ability to come
No
with
go
reserve
again
form?
and no capacity to give it go again.
Okay.
Could be an invert existence in Arsenal for the cheeky 2 arcane as at instant speed, but that wouldn't be lethal because Toby's on 3.
Okay. So, this is not the time for a Rune Blood incantation.
No.
But still, coming in with a Shrill for 5.
He's going to pop the Vexing Quill Hand. He's asking if he can, I think.
Toby,
I think Toby commented on the fact that it was funny that his Shrill of Skull form wasn't lethal, and then realised that he had Vexing Quill Hand. I think that's what happened.
But the Rune Blood incantation is an aura, yeah?
Yes, but it's still 5.
Yeah. And
And Luke's on 6.
looks on 6. Yeah. So, just working out if Toby can have the taxi backsy or not. These two are good mates, but also like
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a miss for So that double Howl from Beyond. So Luke has to kill Toby this turn,
Yep.
but he's got 2 Howl from Beyonds, which is exactly what Luke wanted to see.
Yeah. And now, if Toby had cracked the quill hand, it basically would have just said, okay, you have to pitch 1 card in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 1 less card to deal with. But it would have also meant that Toby doesn't have access to
Arcane Barrier.
Arcane Barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Runeblight incantation, really good early on, but...
Garbage.
Garbage. Ugh, the garbage.
So Minnowism into... So depending on how many... This is again the resource crunch, so how many blues does Luke have?
Yeah.
So he's belittling. Does he have the trigger for the belittle? No. But belittle is still a turn extender. It's still another attack that Toby's got to block.
That's the Revel and
And there's the Revel, and that's it. GG.
Alright, GG. Alright, Luke Fletcher taking it down.
Congratulations, Luke. So that's the end of the tournament, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll take these off again. I was going to go into the hall. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Been Jesse, Muirman, Marshall, and Isaac Lee, as you can see on the screen. I've had a great time.
Yeah, great time. Thanks everybody for joining in the chat, making the comments, engaging with us, and just checking out like a real good tournament with a real good game, real good bunch of people, run by a real good tournament organizer. Like, yeah, just a great day. Now we could get an interview in with the winner. We could chat. We've already had a chat to Luke. What do you reckon?
We had a chat to Luke and Toby. I think people know what the vibe is.
I think
they probably want to get home after all this day.
Yeah, I think we call it a day at this point.
Oh yeah, we can ask them if they want to open the gold foil on stream.
Actually, gold foil. You're totally right. Thank you. Let's see the gold foil. Oh my god, how could I forget about the gold foil? So, for those that don't know about the gold foil, basically first place in today's event gets the invite, but they also get a special promo card that is packed into a very cool looking black folder like thing, and if you open it and there's a random gold promo inside, that could be worth anything between like $1,000 and like $5,000. So an incredibly expensive card. Now, because it could be anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000, one of the things that a lot of people have been doing is just not opening it, because maybe the EV is like actually better to keep it sealed because it's how special it is, and because so many people open them because it's so cool to open. So like this special promo, people are not opening it. And I think that's what they're planning to do.
So Luke can tell you on stream. He's gonna come in, have a look directly at the camera, and tell you what he's doing.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations!
Thank you.
On another victory. Got the people here. Like, how you feeling?
How many viewers we got?
We got some number of viewers.
Awesome.
What do you want to say to those viewers?
Fab's good fun.
Fab's good fun. You heard it here, chat. I think that you got to be pretty exhausted at this point. Congratulations to everybody that did well. Congratulations to Toby for getting that Pro Tour invite because it gets passed down. Congratulations to Luke for taking down his second Pro Quest. Gaining a bunch of those points. Just
Good XP.
Yeah, lot of XP. Good times. Well played.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the next one. Oh,
I gotta present Luke his prize.
Yep.
So this is that gold foil, and I believe that you guys are going to keep it. Is that right?
It will be staying sealed, yeah.
It'll be staying sealed. Vote in the chat. Vote in the chat whether he should open it or not.
You're not going to get him to open it.
Yeah. If we can get 50 likes on this video.
75.
All right. Well done. Thank you very much.
you,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
today.
Thanks.
Good job, Luke.
Thanks, Jay, for organising a great tournament.
Thank you, Isaac and Jesse, for
Thank you,
being
Jason.
on stream today. It's been a real tough day. Thank you for the entire community and everyone who supported us. Thank you to our judges, Nash and Arthur. Thank you to everyone else who helped out during the day, and to Jack working in the background.
Hey! if people want to come into Grand J Games to maybe learn how to play Flesh and Blood, whereabouts are you located, Jay?
So we're located at 69 Rose Street in Essendon. So we're a store in Melbourne. We do Flesh and Blood on Friday nights. And yeah, so like a lot of these guys play at our local scene. So like, and everyone's really friendly. So if you want to like chat and get to know people, definitely it's a great community and great scene, and very welcoming. Like some of the best guys I've ever met during playing cards. So definitely thank you very much for the community. They've been absolutely great. A big thank you to Legend Story Studios who's given us the opportunity to run these events.
Yep.
There's a lot of big stores in Melbourne, and we were very lucky to be chosen for these events. Especially considering we were a smaller store. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone. And yeah, thank you for the community for coming in today. So we had a large 45 people came in, which is pretty reasonable for progress here in Australia. But yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Have a good night, everybody.
Outro Jack.
Outro.